Oh, Margaret Mahdi. It's like,
Okay.
the Mahdi.
Yes, ma'am. No, I want to make sure. I want to make sure before I say your
Oh,
name.
no. But on Facebook, I have a theater page. It's Mahdi Theater Company. And then I also have my own personal page.
Okay, wonderful. Boom. And I'm just waiting to get the notification. And we are live. I want
All
to thank
praise due to
everyone.
Allah.
I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a special edition of Off the Record, the People's Podcast, this Thursday evening with a wonderful guest, Sister Margaret Mahdi, who is taking time out of her busy schedule to have a conversation with us. So I thank you. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Margaret.
Walaikum salam, Brother Joshua. And it is an honor to be a part of your platform. Thank you. I'm so excited.
Yes, ma'am. The first thing we want to say is Mimi says, Assalamu alaikum, family. Of course,
Assalamu alaikum, Mimi.
The first thing I want to know is, how did you get into theater?
Yes. It has always been a life love from since I could remember as a toddler. I grew up watching musicals, particularly The Wiz.
Yes, ma'am.
And I was glued to that musical. I was glued to Grease. And I just knew early that the love for singing, dancing, self-expression was in me. And my mother had enrolled me in some acting classes as a youth, and I stayed committed to that. And as I developed the craft, I learned from a wonderful mentor of mine. She passed, Sister Winifred Rasulullah, while I was at school, in elementary school and then high school. And she took me under her tutelage, and she trained me professionally. And from there, I went off to college and took courses. So I just knew it was my niche. So it started when I was a child, connecting to those musicals.
Wonderful. Praise be to Allah. Okay, my sister Naima says, ASA, Assalamu alaikum.
Hey, Naima, assalamu alaikum.
Mimi says, Margaret has always had such a positive energy and spirit. Yes, ma'am, you have.
All praises due to Allah. Reflection of Sister Mimi. I love you.
Now, we're going to come back to The Wiz because you've done it and you've had multiple cast members. But I didn't know you like Grease, because I like Grease as well.
I love Grease.
Are you ever going to do Grease? Would you ever do that?
Well, you know what? Truth be told, many years ago, we considered doing our own twist to Grease.
Yes, ma'am.
So it was a thought. We never, went in execution of it, but it certainly was a thought.
Praise be to Allah. Now, for people who may just be watching you for the first time, who may not know that you were born in the nation, you've been around the Most High Minister Farrakhan your entire life. Both of your parents have put in work, and we thank them for their sacrifice and the sacrifice of your brothers as well. Yeah. How your mother is very expressive, and it seems to be more on the theater side. Your father, like my father, many of the FOY, is very serious. How were you able to be in theater in such you went to MUI first, military. How were you able to break out and be expressive?
That's a very good question, Brother Joshua. Wow. I think it was because of having two different parents. Yes, one that was very, a father that was structured or disciplined or militant, I should say, and a mother that was very soft-spoken. Yes, they both bridged that balance, and they gave me the opportunity to be authentic. They allowed me to be expressive. So in my home life, it was never ridiculed or critiqued. So in that expression, it was embraced. So even growing up in a militant structure, at the same time, I was taught self-expression, being authentic, being free, that was also Islam. So I just took hold to that, because as we know, Islam is freedom, it's just, it's equality, it's love. And having those pillars instilled in me gave me the permission to be expressive. And I credit that to learning early the value of God and how Allah will place in us our gifts and our talents, because he makes us all unique. And it's up to us and our parents and our environment to find what that uniqueness is. So I was very blessed early to find it, and having a family and a community to help shape it gave me the permission to be what I'm striving to be: free, expressive, prayerfully inspirational.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So that's how that all came to be.
Wonderful. Now I wanted to come back and thank you all for continuing to watch. I see your comments and I'm going to come to them. Sister Margaret, you spoke about Sister Winifred. Now my mother was in Sister Winifred's plays with you as well, and so I was introduced to Sister Winifred. What about her style of writing or producing did you take from her?
Sister Winifred was extremely focused.
Mm-hmm.
From her, the seriousness of the craft.
Mm-hmm.
I took from her the love that she had for the craft and her focus. And when I studied under Sister Winifred, along with your mother, who is a phenomenal actress, I learned early, like at 14, 15 years old, that the performing arts is an arena of supreme discipline.
Yes, ma'am.
And, you know, from her, I just took that, you know, if you're going to do this, you have to be very serious. And it's beyond the applause. It's beyond the look at me on the stage, but it strengthened other components of our lives. Yes, so what I learned from her, I learned how to work with diverse groups of people. She didn't work with just Muslims, she worked with the community.
Yes, ma'am.
And I learned how she would infuse the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad in her works. Yes, ma'am. And from studying her, I started to, you know, it's like little seeds being implanted in me. And, you know, with Sister Winifred, we joined forces with Mother Tanetta, who also was extremely spiritually expressive and who also loved the arts very much. But I took the seriousness of the craft. That's one thing that I would say Sister Winifred instilled in me very early.
Praise be to Allah. Wonderful. Well, I want to say that Brother Daniel says Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Michael, and thank you. And Mimi says she loves you more. Okay, wonderful. Sister Naima says Margaret has always been such a role model for her as a dancer. She can see herself in you, and you taught her that you can be expressive, creative, and artistic in the nation. Praise be to Allah.
Alhamdulillah. All praise is due to Allah.
My next question for you is, we've seen recently the Most Honorable Minister Farrakhan bring you on stage over the years to talk about the arts and creativity. How did that come about, your relationship with the minister as far as on the art side, and what advice does he give you to encourage you to keep going?
Well, one advice most recently he said was, keep up the good work. So I said, Allah, thank you. I'm not in no big trouble or anything, you know, thank Allah. Yes, but I would say the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has instilled in us the love of God. We would not know the power of Allah, His Majesty, if we did not have an example in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Yes, ma'am. He gives us a supreme example to follow. I would say the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan mastery of his own gifts and talents is an expression of supreme love and obedience to his God. Yes, ma'am. Being an artist, he has taught us the value of expression, the value of inspiration, the value of cultivating other people's lives is beyond us. So what I learned from him as an artist is that this is a ministry of service, and that I pray and we pray as artists that we use this platform to uplift, to encourage, to heal, and to save the lives of humanity. Throughout the years, I've been blessed from birth till this point of life to been shaped by his hands in my mother's womb,
Yes, ma'am.
you know, from the final call days, just like with your family,
Yes, ma'am.
and striving not to take his role lightly in
Yes,
our affairs. So I would just say, as he would do any of us or share with any of us words of encouragement, just being mindful of our duty
mm,
and that this is a responsibility
mm,
and that to whom much is given, much is required. So I learned from him that this isn't something to take lightly,
yes,
and
ma'am.
that when people are in our midst and in our presence, that we must do more and give more and make sure that we're striving to do it with good intentions.
Yes, ma'am.
So I know that was a lot, but
No, 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 no.
we learn a lot from him in his artistry. He's a supreme artist, a supreme student, a supreme example, and just looking at how he loves what he does and how he loves to share it freely with all of us
Mm,
allows me to be free and allowed me to be a free Muslim woman
praise
in
God.
my space
Yes, ma'am.
with what we're taught and how to be and how to behave. And that gives us even more power. So we thank Allah for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and his intervention in our affairs.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, my next statement is a question. Statement going into a question is: when I was very young at Muhammad University of Islam, you were performing a all-girl production of The Wiz,
Mhm.
and my friends and I was outside playing football, and I saw all of you all doing the work. But I asked you, could I be a part of The Wiz, and you allowed me to, and that was the first play that I was ever able to be a part of. And I wanted to thank you for that. What was it about Joshua Muhammad that allowed you to be part of your production as The Wiz? Because it was all girls, and then you let me be a part of it. That was so. I mean, that put me on the stage for the first time. So, what made you change the rules and be like, okay, well, I guess I'd rather be a part of it? What was it about you that you make that decision? Because I thank
I
you.
think you know what, Brother Joshua, as we were children, even till now, you are free in who you are. And you're consistent with that expression. You don't apologize for being an artist. You don't apologize for being expressive. So I think we just made a connection. And I was just like, hey, why not? This is not a brother that's trying to be, look at me, I'm too cool to do this. But you said, I'm an actor. Why not? So that allowed us to embrace you. So it's just, you know, natural respond to natural.
Yes, ma'am.
You're natural at what you do and who you are. And I think that's where the connection stemmed from the beginning even till now.
Praise be to Allah. Brother John Nail says, Assalamu alaikum, all praise be to Allah. Sister Latrice says, yes, ma'am. She backs you, sister, as well as your vision on the minister and him being a beautiful example of God and love.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Now, more recently, I was not on the acting side of it, but you allowed myself and the Atlanta FY drill team to be a part of your play about 2 years ago at Savior's Day. That play was life changing. People were in the audience.
Mhm.
What gave you the vision to do that play? That's the first question. And the second question, what made you allow us to be a part of that production?
Yes. Well, we thank Allah for the vision, and it's the vision of what he instilled in us. You know, sometimes as an artist, you have to listen to what God placed on you to do.
Yes, ma'am.
And that comes from being silent. It comes from studying our craft. It comes from listening. And in listening, Allah placed upon our hearts to create a production about the migrants, about our people who traveled from the South to come to the North. And in that production, we highlighted the spirit of our ancestors, the rise of the great ones. The show was featured 2016 in Chicago. And even prior to that, we've been running that show since 2010. But ultimately, we were asked by the Nation of Islam's council if we would be willing to present it in such an esteemed honor it was. And there was a segment in the production where we were honoring the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as he is or from the South and migrated to Detroit. Who better drill team who's who represents so well and who's immaculate in what they do. We said, when Brother Joshua and team comes in, you all kind of like, it kind of felt like y'all upstaged us. Like, No, it was a beautiful combination. And in fact, the actor who portrayed Brother X, he said he never felt that feeling ever. It's like having the FOI to back him. He's like, I felt chills in my spine. So it was just another one of those organic experiences. It's always a blessing to share our stories and tell who we are. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, who is best to tell our stories but us? Yes, so it certainly is a mission.
Praise be to Allah. My sister Mimi says that play was very historic, a great play indeed. My next question for you, Sister Margaret, is what is your next production and what are you working on, and what is your vision moving forward with your company in the future?
Yes, sir. Well, right now we are working on Bronzeville the musical with prayer and great support, learning from other experts in the industry. Our goal is to take the production to Broadway. It's our story. If you have the Hamiltons of the world and other great historical timeline musicals of the world to be featured in that type of arena, why not the story of the migrants and how they built the United States of America? So my ultimate goal, with the help of great experts and the talented from the community and with the permission of Allah, is to take Bronzeville the musical to New York. And right now, that's what we've been working on. We have abandoned all other productions until this production receives what we feel need to be properly received by the world. So currently we've been building the show and restructuring the show where it is a full-fledged Broadway musical. And that's what I'm working on right now. It's been a grueling, exhausted work, but I'm thankful. So it takes time to, build a project.
So yes, ma'am. What are some of the things that when you cast people that you're looking for people who are actors and who would like to be part of your productions? What do you look for when you're casting people?
Well, right now, what we're looking for this particular production, we're looking for those who, one, they're born to do it. Like, we want people to say this is their calling, not like a quick, let me be in a hype production or I want to be seen. But like, this is a calling. And furthermore, we're looking for people who are trained. Like, they went to school for this. They're looking for an opportunity. They're looking for a breakthrough, just as we're looking for, and we are anticipating a breakthrough. So we want it to be an even exchange, a wonderful partnership. So we're looking for those who are saying, I was born to be in this production.
Yes, ma'am.
And we're looking for those who are musically theater trained. We have auditions coming up in the spring. We just had 2 successful auditions, and be the will of Allah, we're going to post more coming soon. And we've been a little bit away from social media because we've been developing the script and developing content, and it's been taking quite a bit. But anything that's worth having, you have to tend to it and you have to put a lot of attention to it. So we will be advertising the auditions very soon.
Yes, ma'am. Excellent. Will you ever begin to act or go step back from behind the scenes and onto the stage?
I love acting. I was an actress first. Inshallah, eventually. Right now, being behind the scenes is such a service, and it's so it's rewarding, and it's like, you know, you're in the trenches.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
I appreciate the work, because when you see the end product, you're like, wow, all praises due to Allah. The work, the tears, the pain of all of it was well worth it.
Yes, ma'am.
And also to see the actor shine, it's such it's an amazing experience. But also, a performer is very powerful.
Yes, ma'am.
So, you know, I miss acting, and I hope sometime in the future I can cross that path again, inshallah.
Praise be to Allah. My next question is, what has been your greatest trial as a actress and a producer, and how did you overcome that trial?
Whew. I think every day is a trial in this business. The Honorable Minister Farrakhan told the artist one day, he said, there's no business like show business. It's brutal, it's ugly, it's hardship, but you know Allah's hand is in it when you are surviving it.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is why, like, our intentions must be so pure of why we want this business, why we want to be in it. So I would just say one of the first obstacles of the business is the business itself, you know, making sure everything is working clockwork, honoring people, you know, getting the funding for the production. The business side of it can be very, you know, challenging. And also, the multifaceted personalities. You know, we all have a story to tell. So sometimes we bring our experiences to the table, and sometimes the experiences may not always be sometimes it can be a little damaging experiences, trauma victims. You know, we're Black people. So when a lot of Black people come together, you know, we attack kind of. So sometimes we have to rise above those pains to get the job done. So there are a lot of different challenging forces in the business, but staying the course through prayer, meditation, trusting good people helps us, you know, stay afloat.
Excellent. What is your greatest joy from doing this work?
That's a wonderful question. I would say the way people feel. I love how the team, the cast, the audience, how they feel when we're delivering the message. That is very rewarding to me. It's like, Allah, thank you for using us to touch another person. It's the touch factor that I get most joy out of, the inspiration behind it, how a person take your work and they say, wow, this touched my life. I think that's the driving force behind me. This is what makes me feel good about it.
Praise be to Allah. Okay, my next question is, how has being a mother changed your view on life, and on how has that affected your production?
Well, being a mother, number one, you have to be spiritually connected, because everything and every choice you make, if it falters, is going to take a hit with your children. So my children, like they're like my guardian angels. They safeguard me.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And yeah, and I thank Allah for them keeping me balanced. And I know that the measure of accountability is extremely high, because I'm not just doing this for myself, but I have a son and a daughter that's looking at the decisions and choices that I make. And if I'm not thinking right, and if I'm not doing right, it can cause a lot of damage. So they help to keep me thinking right with the permission of Allah. So, you know, it keeps me on my toes. And they bring me the comfort in those most darkest hours, and they bring me the comfort in even the most joyous hours. And they're like really my number one support team that I have. So I'm very thankful.
Praise be to Allah. And I wanted to make sure that my parents and my siblings and nieces and nephews as well extend the greetings to, of course, your father, but your mother as well, because we always acknowledge your father every time we see him, because you know it's like, oh, somebody can serve, but we don't get a chance to see your moms that much. But please let her know we love her and we appreciate her and we miss her, and thank her for being always nice to us. Thank you very much. You know,
Oh, that is so sweet. My mother talks about your family all the time, and please extend love, greetings to your parents and to the whole family.
Yes, ma'am. My last, and thank you all for watching. Mimi says that's so beautiful, excellent. My last question to you is, what would you like your legacy to be?
I pray to Allah that my legacy would be that Margaret Mahdi strive to help the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan build a cultural revolution in the arts.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Praise God. Okay, thank you, Margaret, for that short answer. Powerful answer. Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. This is Margaret. I'm honored that you come on our podcast and share this inspiration with us. We can't wait to put it on YouTube so you can like, subscribe, and share. Mimi says she loves us, Diane, so much. She is so sweet, and we just want to everyone who watches, we want to support you in every production that you do, and we want to root for you to get to Broadway, and whatever we can do, we're here for you. And man, thank you for being an inspiration to not just Chicago, but to the entire nation and the community as well. So we thank you, and we love you and your family, and look forward to seeing you safe, Sister Margaret.
And Brother Joshua, thank you. And I just want to extend a special thank you, of course, to your parents, but particularly may Allah peace and blessings be upon your grandmother, because your grandmother supported me all throughout my college years, financially, spiritually, with words of encouragement. And she will always have a place in my heart. So I thank Allah for her for helping to shape your family to be the generous and loving family that all of you are, not only to our family, but to the Nation of Islam. So thank you, Brother Joshua, for sharing your platform with all of us, and continue to be your authentic self.
Crazy. You know, I mean, eventually everybody's gonna catch up and understand the Virgos of the world, but you know,
hey, Virgos, really? I can't look. I mean, come on now. You don't want us to go down the line with great Michael Jackson, Beyonce, Tyler Perry. Yeah, you know.
I mean,
Brother Joshua, Sister Margaret. You know, hey, we love the Virgo.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you, Sister Margaret, and man, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.